Mr. Adams, if he would give us the lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. And as customary, we like to also do some introductions to start our meeting so you know who you have up here to represent you. Let's go ahead and start with the commission first, and let's start. I'll start with you and we'll work our way down the dais.
Okay. Please use your microphone.
There we go.
Okay, little guy, come around here. There we go. I'm Tom Jacobson. I am a commissioner at large, and I reside in the state of Utah, even though I have a home in Park City. I always thought Park City was in Utah. I'm Brad D. I'm a commissioner at large. I reside in Weber County.
I'm Kevin Van Tassel. I'm a commissioner at large and I live in Vernal, Utah.
And I'm Jim Evans, Commissioner. I represent Region 3 and also the rest of the state and live in Orem, Utah. Happy to be here today.
Good morning, Natalie Goffner. I represent Region 2, which is Tooele, Salt Lake, and Summit counties. And I live in Murray and work at the University of Utah.
Morning, my name is Bruce Adams. I live in Monticello, Utah. I represent Region 4. I can't tell you all the counties that I represent, but I'm glad to be here.
I hope you recognize him. He doesn't have his cowboy hat. He left it at home accidentally, and none of us recognized him when he first showed up. So, and our next, before he introduces himself, our next brand new Commissioner, Paul Boren. Excited to have you join our commission. This is the first official meeting with us today, and love to have you introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself.
Fantastic. Well, thank you. Paul Borup, representing Region 1, which is Davis, Weber, Morgan, Box Elder, Rich, and then Cache County, which I'm a resident of. I live up in Logan with my wife and two of my two children. I'm glad to be here. Prior service experience, I was on the Cache County Council for 4 years and on the board of directors for the Bear River Association of Governments. So understand what an important part of our life that transportation plays. And I'm excited to be working with all these fine folks. I kind of feel like the mule that got entered into the Kentucky Derby, where they asked the farmer if he could compete, and he says, "Nah, but the association to do him a lot of good." So thanks for letting me associate with you. Appreciate it.
Commissioner Borup, thank you. We're delighted to have you join us. Carlos, would love to have you introduce our UDOT.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, members of the committee, commission. Thank you for being here, first of all. I'm Carlos Braceros. I'm the executive director of the Department of Transportation. And do you want the full introductions of all the team? We'll be quick at this. We'll start with Ben, then Heather will go down here, and then we'll go back and forth, guys.
Ben Hewitt, Deputy Director, Planning and Investment.
Jeff Albrecht, Region 4 Reconstruction Engineer. Chris Howell, Region 4 Planning Manager.
Jared Beard, Region 4 Deputy Director.
Kurt Donut, Region 4 Director.
Cameron Gage, Region 4 Program Manager.
Troy Marcher, Region 4 Traffic Operations Engineer.
Eric Rasband, Region 3 Project Manager.
Rob Clayton, Region 3 Director. Boyd Humphreys, Region 3 Deputy Director. Andrew Gwen, Region 3 Program Manager. Robert Stewart, Region 2 Director. Bob White, Region 1 Director. Wait for Chris.
Central Traffic and Safety.
Tracy Munson, Region 4 Southwest District Engineer.
Eric Fieldville.
Dave Felder, Policy and Legislative Affairs.
Mr. Chairman, that's the UDOT folks. We do have some other partners here if you want to recognize.
That's Ivan. Would you like to introduce yourself?
Oh, Ivan Marrero, Iowa Ministers.
And we do have the Dixie MPO.
Byron Lane with Dixie MPO.
Thank you. Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. And we'll have a chance on the agenda here for public comments. And if any citizens or elected officials would like to introduce themselves, we'll give you a chance here at the microphone in just a little bit. So thank you. I think we are ready to go to our local area presentation. Kirk is the director. Thank you we'll turn the time over to you to introduce your team. And before I forget, thanks for hosting us here in the hospitality, picking us up, getting us to the right places. We appreciate you and your team.
Absolutely. On behalf of my team, Mr. Chair and Commissioners, we welcome you to Region 4 and especially to Kanab, Utah. Region 4 is God's backyard, and this is where we come to play. Today, I first would like to thank all of you that were able to come on our tour yesterday and be able to see projects from a UDOT standpoint, but also hear from our local partners on things that are happening in Kane County and especially East Zion. So we do appreciate that, and hopefully that was educational and worth the time for you. Today, our area presentation will be done by Cameron Gay, who is our region program manager. And then we're going to give some time to our region planner, Chris Hall, to talk about the Roads to Rec program down in Zions to kind of educate us on that.
Good morning, Commissioners, Mr. Chair. Welcome to Kanab. What a beautiful sight. I hope you've enjoyed a little bit of the red rocks and the warm, I guess the cool fall weather. A great place to be and a great time to be here. So this morning, we'll cover a little bit of here, what's in King County, and I'll mention a little bit of our neighboring county as well in Garfield County to give you some perspectives on what's happening, a number of projects. So the first slide you'll see here just gives you a little bit of a perspective on the number of projects and the money that we've seen here in Kane and Garfield counties over the past 10 years. Here in King County, just shy of $124 million and 40 projects have been completed in the last 10 years. And in the Garfield County area, shy of 132 million, 45 projects. So this consists of projects from planning clear through design and construction, consisting of our federal money, state money, as well as some of our local partnerships. To give you a little bit of an idea of what these are, we've got a few tables here to show you a little bit about the types of projects, and the projects highlighted in blue will be those that we dive into just a little bit further and give you some more details on. So here, just in the last couple of years from 2023 to today are some of our preservation, corridor widenings, structures projects, some fiber trails, corridor studies, and things of that nature. So in the last 2.5, 3 years, we're seeing right around just over $86 million worth of projects. And there have been some awesome projects that we've seen here in the county, many of which we drove through yesterday, and you were able to kind of get some eyes on the ground on those, and some that we'll just talk about and show you a few pictures. So for perspective, I'd also like to give you an idea of what's happening in Grand County, to our neighboring communities there. Again, a lot of preservation, a lot of structure work, some trails, some rehabilitation, widening, a great deal of work, just almost $80 million worth of work that's happening. So jumping into a few projects, again, these are some of the ones we saw yesterday, and I'll just dive into them a little bit in a little bit more detail than we saw yesterday. So the US 89 passing lanes near the Buckskin Wash. This was a $7.2 million TIF funded project. An area out here, again, we see a lot of recreational traffic, and at times those types of vehicles are moving a little slower than desired. And so these passing lanes provide great opportunity for the traveling public to pass safely and to get to their destination without being held up. Oftentimes we get a little bit anxious if we're behind an SUV pulling a large boat or a large trailer. And so these are great assets down here in these rural parts of the community. We were able to add about 2.5 miles northbound and southbound in this area, which was a great addition. Our Arizona state line to Buck Tank Draw, like about a $10 million preservation. So I don't know if you want to zoom in on your iPads a little bit on this picture, but I'll dive in just a little bit of the details of what a hot in place recycle is. So we go in and we actually heat up the asphalt, and we go through and scarify it and pick it back up, put it in a hopper and add new oil to it, mix it up and lay it back down as a new mat. So if you look closely there's actually 7 propane heater vehicles out in front of the actual paving machine. So it takes those 7 propane heaters to be able to get down to a depth of 2 inches. And quite an operation, about 3/4 of a mile long from the first propane truck to the paving machine in the back. And this is just one of the tools we have in our toolbox to preserve our facilities. provides a great structural factor for our highways and improves the ride and gives us a great quality at the end. So awesome project down here for this major rehabilitation. We also did some safety improvements with some signs and guardrail and some rumble strips that we often see on the sides of our highways. Our wildlife crossing project, again, we talked a bit yesterday about the phase 1 and the phase 2. Commissioner Van Tassel asked about some numbers, and so I dove into some of our studies last night, and Commissioner, I'm happy to present a few numbers for you. So we finished our phase 1 in 2013. We actually did a 5-year study right after that was completed from 2013 to 2018. And that study consisted of 26 motion detected cameras on those 7 crossings. And we were able to observe 102,512 deer approaching these crossings in that 5-year period. The study also showed a 53% decrease in vehicle crashes for wildlife. So if we were to predict that same type of result for phase 2, the last 5 years, phase 2's estimated about 453 vehicle crashes. So 53% reduction would be around 203 reduction in crashes. So a substantial improvement both to the wildlife population as well as to the safety of the traveling public and the reduction in insurance claims and so on and so forth. So an awesome project that allows us to both allow the migratory patterns to be maintained and to improve the safety of the traveling public. So again, this project is a $10.4 million project where we will install 3 new crossings and improve 1 existing crossing. We've had an awesome partnership with our wildlife partners down here. You'll notice we have a funding grant from the Wildlife Crossings Pilot Program as well as from the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation. And then our Division of Wildlife Resource Partners have partnered with the following 4 there: the Muledale Foundation, the Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation, Sportsmen for Fish and Wildlife, and the Utah Archery. So awesome partnership that came together for a project of this size to come about. Yes.
I'm just wondering about going from 400 and some crashes to 200 and some. Will the additional project take care of some of those 200, or are we still getting wildlife out on the highway even though we have a fence?
So in the mitigation areas, there has not been any exposure to the wildlife, but what we typically see is there's always the ends of the fence where it's very difficult to capture them and find ways to keep them from going, get that end around effect. So that's where the majority of our concentration or focus is once we have a project like this complete, is those end arounds. These types of projects also include what we call deerscape ramps. So if they do get in about every quarter mile, alternating on either side of the road, there's these dirt ramps that allow the deer to walk up and jump out. Hopefully those don't need to be used very often, but in occasion they will. And then our last project is our Mount Carmel junction to the Muddy Creek Canyon passing lane. Again, this project will be one that you'll see in your action items today. We're recommending to combine a portion of the Utah Trail Network segment with the passing lane itself. This project, again, will provide an awesome 1.5 mile passing lane just north of Mount Carmel Junction for folks traveling in that area and getting antsy to get around. And the trail itself will be an awesome addition between Mount Carmel and Orderville, about a 7-mile long stretch to provide some safety and refuge for those that bike and ride and want to walk in that area. To highlight a few of our local government projects that we've seen down in this area. So these consist of projects that are funded with Region Director's contingency funds and projects that our locals pursue with our Joint Highway Committee or other grant opportunities. You can see a wide variety of them here from studies to sidewalks. We have a rehab and rehabilitation and drainage there on the Coral Pinks and Zion Area Transit Study. A pretty substantial amount of projects and just shy of $15 million that locals have partnered with us on here in this area. And so, again, we appreciate you guys being here today. We're always happy to be able to show you the beauties of Region 4 and hope you've enjoyed your stay here, and we're happy to answer any questions you may have.
Questions, council? Commission, I should say. I know which one. I'm not on council, commission, sorry. Commission. I've been on council. Question. Thank you.
Okay.
Appreciate the report.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Morning, commissioners. Don't touch that. Okay, I'll just lean in. My name is Chris Hall, and I'll be presenting on the Zion Roads to Recreation program. So the program started in the Cottonwood Canyons and expanded to the Park City area due to the ski traffic and some of the congestion in those areas. And it was met with such success that we wanted to try it in other places with recreation traffic. And so we decided that the most visited national park in Utah would be a good place to try it. So we thought with the congestion and parking issues that are around that area, that would be a good place to expand to this program too. So when we first came into this, we thought this is a little bit different than ski area traffic. And so we need to understand what needs to be accomplished. So we met with a lot of local coordination. You can see that there's a very long list on that slide there of who we met with to say, what are some of the issues and how can we make sure we get information out to solve some of these issues with all these partners. So as we've reached out to them, they've been very appreciative of our efforts here. They understand that there's a lot of impact with tourism in this area, and they're appreciative of any effort to try and help with some of the issues that it causes for the locals in the area. So moving on, I just wanted to highlight that this is kind of a two-part effort. There's a lot of it on social media that can give instant updates. And I put both of them there on Facebook and Instagram. So if you want to know more about it or follow it, so you can get those same updates and see what's going on, they're there for you. You can follow. But I also wanted to take you to the website itself and kind of show you around of some of the things that it has to offer. So there's a link here so you can go to it. And I'll just jump right into it and just kind of walk you through it. So as you get here, it's just talking about traveling to Zion National Park. And that's what we found when we coordinated with the locals, is that a lot of the times is that the people coming to visit don't understand the area. They don't understand what transportation options are there. They don't understand how rural it is or some of the lack of amenities that they may be used to. And so the biggest part is just educating people that are coming. So part of this effort, you may have noticed, but on I-15, there's been a couple of billboards advertising this. I think there's a couple in Utah County and there's a couple in St. George. So that was one of the things we said is we need to make sure we get this information out so people know that when they're coming here, there's this resource to help them plan their trip. So there's way too much information on here for me to cover in just the few minutes I have to share this. So I really want to highlight what this is doing to help Utah, or UDOT's vision of Keep Utah Moving. So we want to educate the people that are coming of the travel options in the area. So as you come to this site to say, how are they going to get there? Like, okay, well, there's transit inside the park and in Springdale. So once you get there, you don't need to drive your car. There's well-used transit options. And if you need more information, there's more information that we link directly to those sites. So this is just kind of a landing page to say, here's a one-stop shop to get you where you need to go if you need more information. So next on there is that this is something that's new in the past year, is that we now have transit that you can get from pretty much anywhere in Washington County, any of the major cities in Washington County to Zion on transit. So that transit line covers all of the areas in St. George and then that metro area. And once again, it gives a brief overview real quick here and then links to the SunTran website to say, if you want to plan your trip with transit, here's more information. This map will show you where the buses are on that route. So you can come over here and say, oh, look, that bus is already on its way. If you're in this area, you can see how far it's going to be or where it's at. So it provides you that information, real-time information to make it easier to use those options. Now, if you decide that you don't want to use transit to get to the park, the next biggest issue is parking around there. So we wanted to provide information on the parking, where to park. The Instagram and the Facebook are focused on when the parking fills up. So as you're traveling to there, you're going to get real-time updates of where you should be parking. So you don't have to drive around looking for parking, which is what causes a lot of congestion in the area. So we provided all this information, once again, links to Springdale's website so you can find out where the parking is, the cost, how to get to it. And then another recent thing that there's been a big push on is since COVID, it's been really popular to rent e-bikes or bikes to ride into the park. And Zion, or the greater Zion area, Washington County, is working on a trail to get all the way from the St. George area to Zion as well. So sometime in the future, you'll be able to ride your bike all the way there. Right now, there's trails around in Springdale and in the park that you can ride in there. But there's a lot of etiquette and rules of the road that are a little bit different inside the park with the shuttles and how narrow the roads are. But we just wanted to provide that etiquette and information on, if you do plan on riding a bike in there, here's some good things that you need to know about before you set out. And then also on top of that, we worked with Southern Utah Bicycle Alliance. They really wanted to showcase that Washington County is a great place to recreate as far as active transportation. So we linked the map of popular road routes like the Vale Loop here and the Quail Creek Loop right around here. And also, if you zoom in here, you can see how many active transportation corridors, both bike lanes, sidewalks, and multi-use trails are here in the area. So if you do come to visit Zion and want to expand that visit to incorporate some of that, you have all the information right here at your fingertips. So that's kind of what we've highlighted here, is that we're providing options in transportation. We want to make sure that people understand what they can do with transportation in the area and what's available to them. And that's kind of what I wanted to cover. And unless you guys have any questions.
Any questions? Please,
Just,
Natalie.
wow, that was impressive. That interface and what it shows, that I think that is the right direction, and so glad to see that. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you.
What kind of traffic are you having on it?
We have the information on the traffic on the website, and I don't have it in front of me, but it's still fairly new. It just started this last Memorial Day, so it's been going just over one summer. And so I can get you those numbers, but I think it's several thousand people visited the site to use it to plan it. But once again, it's one of those things that we got to get the word out to make sure that people trust it and know to go there to plan their trip.
Mr. Chair.
Please.
Well, just Chris, put you on the spot. The commission allocated money to help stand up the transit service into the park, correct? Could you
Yes.
remind the commission?
Yeah, so the transit service was through the recreation hotspot money, and it was, I can't remember what year it was, 2018 or something, 2017. And so it was $10 million to help get that transit going. And SunTran committed to run that service for 10 years with that money. So it is guaranteed to run for 10 years. And then at that point, SunTran can evaluate to say, is this working or not? But we have a for sure 10-year period where we will have transit to Zion National Park and make sure that that is well established to see how well it works.
Please.
I mean, maybe you don't have an answer to this, but I noticed that they don't run on Sunday. And I appreciate, the culture that we live in of trying not to do things on Sunday, but many of the people that come to this area are on vacation and they need the transportation on Sunday. And the times that I have been in that area doing recreation, both Saturday and Sunday are the days when we have the most traffic. Is there some actual practical reason why they can't run on Sunday and help reduce the traffic?
That is a good question. I know that there's been a lot of comments about that, of saying, if we're getting the recreation traffic to this area, that it's the highest on the weekends. And I think SunTran has said it's difficult to try and get some of the drivers in the area to work to cover the drivers in that area. But that is a discussion that's being had, because we realize that that is an issue where the highest use is on the weekends for that area. And so making that is critical. But where SunTran is running that, that's their decision. And we're having conversations, and I haven't heard any outcome of that, but that has been discussed and brought up. Yes.
Good question. Any other for Chris? Any other questions or comments? Well done. Impressive.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing all that information with us. Kirk, do we miss anything from your regional presentation?
We're good.
We good? Okay. Thank you once again for hosting us and sharing that with us, Dan, all the great things you're doing. Let's go to the public comments, part of our agenda. I believe we have online a Tate Murphy. Have you mentioned is Tate? Are you there? And if so, we'd love to have you make your comments. Heather will switch that over for us.
Hi, this is Austin Pritchett. I'm with Tate Murphy, and we signed up together. We're not together yet because I haven't gotten to the office, but so our comment is about the Sharp Tintic connector rail. So I'm sure you guys are all familiar. Those two rails need to be connected in order for Front Runner to continue south. We own the 143 acres there alongside some land partners. And that connector is going to cut off 60 I-15 frontage, really usable acres that, we've been trying to work for about 3 years to get some answers on this. And the city's put together a plan in 2020 that has like 8-story apartment buildings. And then it's also currently zoned county industrial we've had a bunch of data center users and different things coming in. We've tried to hold them off and get some discussions going, and Rob's been really great now that we finally got in touch with him, but a decision needs to be made there. I know you're voting on it today, but it's getting more expensive the more it gets delayed. It just is. And another thing to consider is when they redid that exit, they cut off Williams Lane going westbound that used to go under the freeway. And so now essentially they're cutting off all the access without giving back the Williams Lane that they once took, who's our partner. So anyways, long story short, a decision needs to be made, and it's definitely not getting cheaper the more things like that unfold for county industrial uses. So we've got a bunch of people willing to put a ton of money into that land, but we're trying to hold them off because we know you guys need it. So, but it's got to be fair. So anyways, that's where we stand.
Thank you for your comment, and as we do, we take this input and then we usually will have someone from staff get back to you. So Carlos, anything you want to add to that?
Just, I think, what we have the item here, and Rob came down here particularly to brief the commission on that. So yeah, I would agree with Austin that we need to make a decision on this, and we're ready to make a recommendation here as we get into the item.
So Rob, when we come up on this item, perhaps then you could also maybe address a few of those things that he talked about there as we're discussing the item. Thank you. Okay, I believe, Kirk, we have an emailed public comment that we're going to have you share with us, if you would, please.
Okay. What's on the screen is help to give orientation to this email. This email is from Landry H. Hello, UDOT Transportation Commission. Thank you for your time and consideration. Between 1985 and 1987, no problem. I'll just wait till we get it. We weren't sharing, so we're sharing now. Okay. Yeah.
There we
All
go.
right. Between 1985 and 1987, the Utah Department of Transportation considered submitting applications to extend U.S. Route 163 designation west from Kayenta, Arizona to Interstate 15 between Hurricane and St. George via Page, Kanab, Fredonia, Colorado City, and Hilldale using existing highways. Even 40 years later, this US 163 plan has relevance to the traffic flow for southern Utah and the Arizona Strip. This would better clarify and unify a singular east-west route for long distance or large vehicle drivers to use going east from I-15, the latter which will soon be unable to drive through Zion National Park due to the tunnel restrictions. This would also help boost and diversify economic activity in the region that is heavily reliant on tourism, which can be heavily affected by the damage caused by natural disasters, as we have witnessed this summer on the north rim of the Grand Canyon. I have provided a link to the map which is shown, illustrating this plan, as well as documents from 1987, 1969, and 1930. This idea is not a new one. I won't keep you all day, but I have attached snippets of these documents to check out later, or you can reach me at my email at le.heatr58@gmail.com for further clarification. Again, thank you for your time.
Thank you for sharing that with us, Carlos.
It's an interesting idea. Obviously, this is not a unilateral decision that the state of Utah can make. It's mostly in Arizona. Yeah, this is where I'd look for the commissions, just what are your thoughts? Is this something you'd like us to see us pursue with the state of Arizona? And we've worked with our federal partners as well, if this is something we think would benefit the state.
Looking to you, because I know where you live.
It's not building any new roads. It's how we would sign it.
Any comments, please? Brad and then Tom. Do you have a comment?
It's
There's a lot of traffic that travels that from St. George all the way over on that side. So the signage, I don't.
Well, I have to ask the really simple question, what are the benefits and what are the detriments?
not having really thought about this, so it makes me free to think or to speak. I think the benefit from, I think the perspective that's being brought forward here is it would be a single designation for route. Right now, we have multiple route designations. I think in this day and age, when I need to go somewhere, I'm going to put in a destination and my Google Maps or whatever you use is going to piece together the best way to do it. So I'm not sure if there's a practical benefit with the technology we have today, but maybe it has some identity to the area. Maybe Commissioner Adams, who maybe would use this more than any of us, would have a thought on that. I don't know.
Well, I guess the first question I have is this a corridor for the Mighty Five where, where people go to Arches, they come down to Monument Valley, they swing over to Zion's, up to Bryce and back around. There is a significant amount of traffic that travel there. You get over into Utah a little bit on 163 and you've got to deal with Forrest Gump Hill, which most of these foreign travelers think Forrest Gump Hill is there to take a picture from the middle of the road. I've even seen bus loads of people out in the middle of the road trying to take a picture. But it is a corridor for a lot of these national parks and scenic areas that are in southern Utah and dip down into Arizona a little bit. But I'm not sure I have any solutions. It always seems to me like it's a pretty well maintained highway, and whoever's got the responsibility, whether it's Arizona or Utah, I think they're doing all they can to keep it safe and well maintained.
Thank you.
Yeah, I don't think the designation would change any of that. I mean, there would be a fiscal note with signage, and again, this would be a decision that would be, the department could make with Arizona and with US DOT. So it's really nothing right now would be high on my list unless you guys thought it was a good idea to pursue.
Commissioner Jake.
What kind of money are we talking about for signage? Is it $1 million? $10 million?
Not knowing how many signs are out there, it's probably more than $1 million, but.
Carlos, there is a little stretch of highway if you're coming down 163 and you turn it bluff to come across through back down towards Mexican water. There's a 5-mile stretch where Utah ends and Arizona starts. And if there's ever an unsafe situation or a need for maintenance, it's that little 5-mile stretch, but it's all in Arizona. And they just repaved from Four Corners almost halfway, maybe 20, 25 miles towards Kayenta. They did that this summer and had a great opportunity to deal with that 5 mile stretch, but they didn't do it. But, you know, again, that's Arizona, not Utah.
Okay, well, thank you for your comments.
Yeah,
and-
I think it's, we received the comments. You know what I'll do is, I know the ADOT director well, and she'll be in town in end of November. I'll just have a conversation with her and see if this is anything they might be interested in or see benefits in.
Great suggestion. Okay, let us know how that goes. Thank you. I'd open it up. Is there anyone here that would like to address the commission during this final section of our public comments? We'd ask you to please come forward to the microphone, state your name, and then I look forward to hearing your comments.
I'm scared because the mic like blew up on Chris, so.
He's got it under control.
I'm Celeste Myers. I'm one of the Kane County Commissioners. And I just wanted to make you aware, if you're not already, of a problem that's not yet solved, and we're working on it. But at the moment, we're at a bit of an impasse. And that is, if someone, as of June 7th of next year, can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah, we hear you great.
Perfect. Arrives from the east side, which is the Kane County side, to Zion National Park in anything that's considered an oversized vehicle, which would be a dually truck, a small RV, or any size of RV, a truck and a trailer, or a tour bus, that they would then be stranded. We're working on a transportation connector to get people from the east side to the center of the park where they can catch the existing shuttle. But as of now, there's insufficient funding, even though we've pulled from various sources in order to be ready to go June 7th. So that's an issue we're facing. I don't know if this commission would have some relief on that. I know you've already contributed to it. Just to give you a status report, we have not yet solved the problem to satisfaction. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll continue to work together on that, right, Carlos? I know we're having
I mean,
discussions.
As we heard yesterday, the park is making this decision, purely for safety reasons. And, the region will continue to work with the county commissioner and with the park to see what solutions there might be for this, because it's a changed condition and it's going to change a lot, I think. So, yeah, I don't have a good answer right now.
Thank you, Commissioner Myers. Anyone else like to address the commission during our public comment section?
Jim,
Please.
why don't we have the other two commissioners from Kane County introduce themselves? I know they've shaken their head. They
They
don't
didn't
want to,
but at least give us.
we
your
need to
name.
know who the Kane County commissioners are.
I'm fine introducing. I just didn't have a lot to say. Celeste said our biggest concern right now. I am Commissioner Patty Kubea. I feel way underdressed, but we are going out on a range tour on the Kaibab. So, and I don't have time to go home and change. So that is why we're a little underdressed today. But anyway, thank you, with the Farm Bureau. So yeah, it would be very interesting.
Hi, I'm Gwen Brown, the other King County Commissioner, and I think Celeste said our main concern, so thank you.
Thank you for being here today, and thank you for your service out here in the area. Okay, anyone else? I think we caught everyone here. We'd like to now close the public comment and move to our UDOT scoreboard. And I believe, Ben, you and Patrick are going to introduce you once again for the minutes, if you'll give your full name and then give us your presentation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Commissioners. Ben Hewitt, Deputy Director, Planning and Investment, and I am going to do the project delivery dashboards this meeting. So this is a little bit of a new look. I can't remember if last time you saw this look for this dashboard. The team has been working on some upgrades, so hopefully we just keep improving it and making it more user-friendly. I'm going to start on the top line, but I'm going to start from the right. So this first dashboard here shows that we have 141 projects that are greater than 60 days out. So those are projects that are a little ways out. And as you work your way to the left, there's 42 projects that are scheduled to advertise in the next 60 days. And then we do have 5 projects that are past due in our suite of projects that are being worked on. And then once again, working on the bottom line from right to left, this fiscal year, starting in July, there's been a total of 59 projects that have been advertised, which represent, and out of those, 93% of them were advertised on time. And we do have a goal of at least 85% of our projects being advertised on time, which is dates that the team sets as their target advertising date. And this is where we hope that we're not using up all the bandwidth. So this can load. There we go. So this graph is some history on advertising timing. So over months for the past while, back to September of 2024, what is that, like lime green is projects that were advertised on time or early. The yellow represents projects that were advertised late. The red are projects that are past due and they still haven't advertised. And then we move in, as we're moving this direction, the orange are future planned projects when they're planned to be advertised. And then the blue is projects that are in the scoping phase, which are a little bit earlier on in the process. And so that those can move around a little bit. Yes.
And just for what are the top reasons why a project would be advertised late, just so we know?
There's a few, I would say, like hits there where right away utilities, sometimes working through agreements with our local partners. Those are the ones that tend to come up quite a bit. But then there can also just be, having to rework some things as you work through the design and things like that. But I would say our top ones are, I don't know if everybody agrees, it's probably right away utilities and environmental, some
And
environmental.
once again, that'd be good for the commission to know there's reasons why this happens, why it's late, because we're trying to work through other issues with other partners.
Yeah,
Okay.
we do our best to anticipate those and try to put in reasonable timeframes, but some of those are a little bit tougher to estimate sometimes when you're working through that. So
Thank you.
Yep. Our next graph. There we go. So this graph has a few things on it. The line on the graph represents a snapshot of how many projects that are going on at any given time. So this is a month histogram. And so, for example, September, 202 projects that are currently under contract. And then the information below that is, of those 202 projects, the top, this red orange, is how much of that contract value is remaining, and then the blue is how much has already been paid. So if I hover over each one of those, there's, of the 202 projects, $1.6 billion of contract value has been paid on those projects, and there's another $1 billion, little over $1 billion that are remaining on those contracts. So you can, and this goes back as some of the other graphs, and you can see history, and I think you can see a general upward trend in number of projects, at least there, and then how the contract value bounces around as you work through those projects. This graph represents our monthly payments to contractors. And so September to date looks like 129 million. And then also, oh yeah, they told me how to get off something if I clicked on it. You can see that there's seasonal peaks and valleys that come with our contractor payments, our peak construction season, and then as as that work is invoiced and paid, you can see natural peaks and valleys on how that works. And once again, I think there's a general upward trend as you move more recent in time on this graph. And then the last chart here is engineer's estimate versus contract amounts. So the blue represents our engineer's estimate as we put things out for bid. And then the green represents, that would be the awarded amount. So that would be the winning contract amount. And I think the takeaway here is you can see as we work into the more recent time, there's been generally the awarded contracts amounts versus the engineer's estimate there's been a little bit more of a gap in that where the contract amounts have been a little bit lower. So I think there's a few signals there if you look at this. And then I think we have had some recent projects where there's been more bidders than we've experienced in the past. So I think those are from a contract award and a bidding perspective, I think those are good things for pricing on projects and competition.
Please.
I have a question here. The green would indicate a lower bid number than the.
Correct.
So am I to attribute that to change orders or manipulation of what we're finally agreeing to at the very end, or are those actual savings by having 5 bidders instead of 1?
Yeah.
So I've asked this question before because I can never agree, but I'd like to know what your thoughts are.
Yeah, there's probably a few things going on there. One is, when we get into time periods, like if you look right here where we had a time period where our engineer's estimate was lower than our awarded bids. That was a time where we were trying to catch up with the market in our estimating. And so naturally we try to adjust, and there's probably always a little bit of a lag on our end to where we adjust our estimates to try to keep up with what the markets are showing. And so what it means is there's either through competition, the bids are coming in well, or there's more there's more bidders, or that, we're lagging the market a little bit again, and we've adjusted our engineers' estimates up, and then as we go forward, we'll try to get those close, because our goal is to be close to that, to have good engineers' estimates that are close to that contract amount, so that we can not have too much money in our projects, so that there's money available for the commission to program on other projects. But then we also don't want to be severely underfunded on our projects to where we have to bring a whole bunch of projects to the
Yeah, and I
commission.
guess that's my concern, is the fact, I think it's really great when you can come in and say, hey, we're under budget on this estimate. But I'm just a little concerned on, are those estimates changing after the fact? And so that's what makes it cheaper. But
Yeah.
if, I love your explanation, and thank you.
Yeah, we do have some granular project level graphs where we keep track of, like, as the contract moves forward. I mean, we do keep some contingency or reserve on projects for, change orders and things like that. But we do also meet with all the regions and go over quarterly our project delivery and look at, like, what trends are we seeing in change orders and things like that. And I think all the regions do a great job in managing that and working within the values that they have. Any questions on any of these?
Please,
Yeah.
Commissioner Tessel.
Not so much a question, but just a comment. Thank you, UDOT staff, our construction crews. What a significant part of the UDOT economy that we generate and produce. And if we wanted to go further, we'd say the money we save on car repairs, getting people to work on time. This is a significant part of why Utah is working the way it is. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Please, Carlos.
Two things. Thank you, Mr. Chair. One is, as you see where we're at right now, where our engineers' estimates are above that award period, you'll see several points in time during a project where we'll adjust a project's money. And you're your consent agenda will always have a period, a section, a table that will show monies being returned. And so when we look at projects at award, we'll do a risk analysis and determine whether or not some of that money should be freed up, brought back to the commission to be programmed for other projects. We also do that during the project, and then again at the close of the project. So that money, our goal is to make sure money isn't sitting. We want money to be working, because when money's working, it's saving lives, making people's lives better, as Commissioner Van Tassel said. And second point I would make is, again, I think teeing off to what Commissioner Van Tassel said in terms of the size of this program. We're showing dashboards here of performance. But if you look at the STIP that you've approved, and that will change today if you make any actions, but there's 2,616 projects that you've approved. That's a contract value of over $28 billion. That is money that's going to work, either in design, but mostly in construction. It's massive, the size of this program. And so, we're trying to manage it, and I think the regions do a wonderful job, but it's making a big difference out in Utah's economy.
Thank you. Great perspective comments. Any other comments from the commission or questions? Thank you.
Thank you.
Appreciate the great report.
Good morning, Chairman and Commission. My name is Patrick Cowley. I'm with the Central Traffic and Safety with UDOT. I'm here in place of Troy Peterson, Director of Operations. We'll talk about some safety numbers this morning. First, I wanted to start off on our strategic direction website. And there's two real ways to look at the safety numbers. You can have the raw numbers, and we'll get into those. But first, I wanted to start off with the fatality rate. And this is tied very closely to the number of miles driven by those coming through the state. And we talked about this in the last commission meeting, and I think it bears repeating, is that the vehicle miles traveled statewide is going up. It just continues to grow. And what we found is that our fatalities, while not where we would like them to be at 0, we can see that the rate at which they're happening is going down. And one item that we focus in on are our vulnerable users, our VRUs. And these vulnerable users, you can see here on the far right, the fatality numbers. A large concern that we have is with our motorcyclists. This year, and we're only 3/4 of the way through the year, it's the highest amount of motorcycle fatalities we've had for or over a decade. And so we're very concerned at what that might mean and how we might reduce that going forward. On a positive note, we have had less bicycle and pedestrian fatalities in that same time frame. While any fatality is not something to be taken lightly, the fact that it is going down, we want to continue that trend as we move forward. I'll take you to the Zero Fatalities homepage, and this gives us an idea of where we're trending. Actually, I'm going to go back one. I wanted to show the traffic fatalities trends. You can see over time, the blue line are the actual numbers of fatalities, and the orange line is our target to be below. We want to make sure that we're constantly decreasing those numbers over time, and we're trending in the right direction. As we move to the Zero Fatalities homepage, you can see that as of this time last year, we were 9 more.
May I ask a quick question on
Yes,
the motorcycles,
absolutely.
how you classify them? Do those include those electric motorcycles that are starting to flood the roadways?
So no, and that's a very interesting conundrum that we're running into is where does it cross? And in law, there's a very distinct separation of those. it doesn't always make it into the police reports. And so we're trying to make sure that we're educating law officer, peace officers, and those that are filling out the reports so that we can know if it's a class 1, 2, or 3 e-bike and how that corresponds to our pedal cycles or our regular bicycles, and then on into the electric motorcycles. But these should not contain, the motorcycle fatalities should be the electric motorcycles. Does that answer your question? Okay.
We have an interesting dynamic in San Juan County where 25% of our land mass is Navajo Indian Reservation. And the Navajo Indians want their own autonomy. They want to be responsible for their own police work and so forth. And so they have been reluctant to cross-deputize law enforcement with their Navajo police. There's a bridge project going on in Montezuma Creek, and within the last month, I believe, near that bridge project, there was 2 accidents that happened with fatalities in both accidents. I think a total of 4 people were killed in those 2 accidents. Our local newspaper guy couldn't get any information from the Navajo Nation to report on those accidents. I'm wondering, do you have any difficulty, or are you able to track those fatalities that happen on the Navajo reservation?
So the fatality data isn't owned by UDOT. It's through the public safety, Department of Public Safety. And so we work closely with the Highway Safety Office, who gathers that data, and they do reach out for all fatalities on public roads to gather that. It can be difficult with local governments and with other entities, the Navajo Nation, to get that in a timely manner. And that's why you'll see fatalities numbers change a little bit over time, because we don't always get it soon after it happening. And so we work again with our Department of Public Safety to make sure that we are counting on those for these numbers.
So does that come from Highway Patrol, or does it come from Navajo Nation to you?
So it would be, if it's on a state facility, it would be Highway Patrol. If it is Navajo Nation, then it would be from their police force that we would get it from.
Okay, I see my Region 4 guys
Is he
shaking their head and thumbs up.
Okay.
So forth, so.
Kirk Thornock, Region 4 Director. Yeah, it is very difficult, even on our state routes. Highway Patrol, when the Navajo Nation police come, they will leave because so we don't always get all the answers. It's very difficult. We like he says, we try to get that information,
Yeah.
but it isn't always readily available to us. But Highway Patrol has I don't know, it covers 364 miles down there with like 3 people. But when an accident happens or a crash happens within the Navajo Nation and the Navajo police come, they take precedence. And so yeah, it's not always that Highway Patrol is on those.
So were you aware of those accidents?
We are aware because one happened within our construction zone, the one at
Okay.
Milk. And we actually received video on that was pretty horrifying of how fast they were going.
Yeah, it was.
Probably estimated about 70 or 80 miles an hour when they hit.
Was that a 30-mile-an-hour construction
Yes,
zone?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it's very difficult. So
Thank you. Thanks.
One last item I wanted to actually that I wanted to highlight is we did just finish our 100 deadliest days as of Labor Day, the Tuesday after. We're working on this. If you notice, we have 109 total days in summer. That's incorrect. It should be 103. It should be through September 2nd. However, the number is correct. So it's very close to what we had last year. It was that last week when Labor Day came, that Labor Day weekend. We had a few more than we were expecting, and it went up pretty severely. We talked about motorcycles fatalities and our pedestrian fatalities. One trend that we've seen going up is the suspected serious injuries have gone up quite a lot this year. And those are injuries where there's severe head trauma or broken limb, they're unconscious. And it's just this step. Am I on? No, this is the one I was hoping to do with the motorcycle fatalities. You can see that our suspected serious injuries for motorcyclists are up, as are the pedestrians. And in this one, the bicyclists is the one I really wanted to show that we have more in the 3/4 of a year that we have than all the records that we have. So those suspected serious injuries are being reported and recorded, and we understand that they could go either way. And we're grateful that they're alive after the crash. But how do we get that to be less severe is something that we're focused on. And so it's not just about fatalities. These suspected serious injuries are really important to us as well, and how we can help to make people more safe on our roadways.
We were commenting up here earlier, just every day it seems like there's a new motorcycle crash. And just, we don't remember it being as many as we're seeing.
You know, after our last meeting, I went home on 84 and I got through the canyon there just as they were cleaning up a motorcycle accident. And I had made a comment at the last meeting. I kind of maybe used the wrong words, but I trying to distinguish between a design issue that causes a motorcycle accident versus speeding or other conduct which is in the sole control of the motorcycle user. And I noticed where that accident occurred, there was a little curve in the highway, but it's not like if you're going even 75 miles an hour through there, which is now a 70-mile-an-hour zone, you're not going to have any problem if you're paying attention. And so like in the situation that Commissioner Adams was describing, you know, it sounds like many of these accidents with motorcycles and with some of the vehicles are being caused by the driver themselves. And those things, you know, I know that DPS works on a lot of things. Don't text, don't drink, don't whatever. And but do we get any information as to whether or not there's a potential design issue where some of these fatalities and very serious accidents occur?
Yes, we actually have a fatality review meeting that we do every 2 months, where we review every fatality on a state roadway, where we look primarily at the engineering of the roadway. Was there something, lack of lighting? Was there a drop off, or pavement issues, or curbs not illuminated? And so we'll look for the engineering, but also the behavioral. Is there something in the behavior that would cause them to act a certain way on the roadway? And it's something that we review constantly throughout the year.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I would like to know more when we have an accident that we believe has been caused by a design issue. You know, when I was a kid, there was this thing called Dead Man's Curve, and Jan and Dean did a song about that. But, part of that was a design issue when you had some of these dead man's curves. And those, I think, need to be, the reason we need to know about that is I would think we'd want to move that up on the scale of things that we would want to look at redesigning and fixing, as opposed to a situation where you're just sitting there driving along on a straight highway and you start texting and all of a sudden, boom, you're in the ditch. That's not, I don't think, UDOT's fault. But on the other items where we can improve safety by doing some construction work and trying to put those on a priority list, I think that's a lot more important. But we need to know those so that the figures have some realistic value as to whether or not public money should be put towards something.
So Patrick talked about, that's probably not called OSR process anymore, but talked about, every project we do is a safety project. And the projects we bring to you, your recommendations are mostly driven either by taking care of the condition or a safety issue. And so every project has safety part of it, but talk about the
And
process by which that
It's
happens.
it's a project safety analysis, which we love our acronyms, and PSA doesn't really tell you what it is. It's a public safety announcement for most of us, but our project safety analysis, we go through and we identify the crash history, and we're trying to introduce, and we're doing it more and more, a predictive analysis. So we're not waiting for bad things to happen. We say this type of roadway in this configuration with these speeds give us this sort of safety benefit. And so if there's a benefit, or if there's a detriment to that, then we would recommend what we call countermeasures to increase the safety for that. And then that is on every project. And then the project team can go through and say, yes, we understand this makes sense, or no, we're not going to add it at this time. And so it's on every project. We look to add safety as we can. And we have highway safety improvement funds, which we do just that, where we'll prioritize the highest benefit, where we can reduce the most crashes and save the most lives, and fund those each year to the tune of about 20 million. And we bring those as a program to the commission.
In addition, Carlos, we need to remember the whole prioritization process. One of the factors is safety.
Exactly.
And so they get those points that go that, Tom, that'll actually move perhaps up on the list for us to look at and approve because they got more points for safety. So
Those
something we ought to
capacity
remember.
projects is what the chairman's referring to. The TIF projects, you have a ranking process as part of your commission policy. Safety is a big part of how that ranking sits in there. The other piece I'd add for the commissioner is, and there's debate around this, but nationwide, about 94% of all crashes are really attributed to really 5 behaviors. People making bad decisions, and it's things like driving under the influence. And we're seeing both drinking and drugs increasing on this. Aggressive driving, so that's speeding, cutting people off, tailgating, not letting people merge in. It's drowsy driving. Drowsy driving is something that I think some people, maybe some of us, were proud about how far we've driven. But when you're driving drowsy, you are as impaired as when you're driving under the influence. And so that's kind of an insidious behavior. It's difficult sometimes for people to accept. There's what am I missing? I'm going to leave distracted. Thank you. That's another hard one for law enforcement. So there's these national forms. Every law enforcement is supposed to fill out on it when they get to a crash, so that we can compare these data nationwide and try to look and see about trends. And distraction is hard because you come across a crash. How do you know what that driver was doing before the crash? National studies are indicating that distraction is playing a role in about 63-64% of every crash. Think about when you're driving, if you've maybe glanced at a sign for too long, or you might have, God forbid, looked at your phone. And then seatbelts, believe it or not, in terms of fatalities, people who choose not to wear their seatbelts make up, if you take out bicyclists, motorcyclists, and pedestrian fatalities, make up around 40 to 50% of fatalities every year in the state. And we have 92% of Utahns wearing seatbelts. So 8% of our population is making up a very disproportionate amount of those fatalities.
Carlos, just because it's interesting, I was at a meeting this week where someone made the point about traffic fatalities in the European Union and how much lower they are than the US. And they think it's a lot because of standard transmissions instead of automatics. And so people can't be distracted as much because they can't hold a phone in their hand. It's just sort of an interesting little tidbit.
I've thought about this a lot, and I've had the opportunity to travel around the world, and it's an order of magnitude difference, the rates in other developed countries compared to the United States. And as I've traveled and over the time, I've come to the conclusion it's a cultural issue for us. And in other countries, they are very much willing to sacrifice something that we're not as willing to sacrifice for the greater good. It's freedom, personal freedom. And they're very much more tolerant of things like automatic speed enforcement, red light running. And so there's a greater willingness to work together towards the safety of the community. Whereas, really one of the things that made our country, so great is our personal freedoms. And that's a dynamic that we're fighting against in this country. That's Carlos's conclusion after almost 40 years of thinking about this.
Second Amendment, Part B.
Yeah, exactly.
Any more things you'd like to present?
No, I appreciate the time. Thank you so much.
Any other questions? These are great discussion today. Thank you for,
Thank you, Patrick.
questions too. Thanks. Okay, I believe Ivan, it's the Ivan time. We look forward to this meeting, all the things you present to us, and we'll turn the time over to you.
Good morning. Ivan Hartle, Financial Programming from the department. Item number 5, our first item today is discussing the consent agenda. Included in the consent agenda is the packet of the minutes for the August 14th staff meeting, the area tour, don't hit the right button, and the August 15th Transportation Commission meeting, as well as a list of the projects. And these projects that we've been talking about are the recovery funds on the project that happened during award, during the project for a budget recovery, and then during closeout process. So just scrolling down through, we have our staff update meeting here. We have the area road tour that occurred in the Spanish Fork area. The commission meeting for that Friday, the minutes and on the actions that were taken. And then as we get towards the end, we can see the list of the project returning funds again during the adjust to award, the budget recoveries, and then the project closeout. And you can see there's a couple of projects with some pretty high values. The I-215 project returning $22 million into the reconstruction program, and then the Highway U-111, the Harriman Boulevard to South Jordan Parkway, returning $24 million. And that does include, as was discussed earlier, a healthy contingency on those projects to handle those change orders as well. This just allows us to take the money and put it to work quickly. In fact, the anticipation is on this reconstruction program, there will be a project presented to the commission in November trying to take advantage of this money and put it to work. It's cheaper to do it now than to do it later. Our request then is a motion to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Commission, do we have a motion?
I would move that we accept the consent agenda and the minutes.
Thanks, Commissioner.
Happy to second that.
Thank you, Natalie. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, if any. Thank you.
I'll abstain just because I wasn't at the meeting, so.
Thank you.
Thank you. Moving to item number 6, our programming items. The first item that we have, 6A-1, is the I-15 1800 North Interchanging Corridor Widening Projects. This is a scope addition. The scope of the I-15 1800 North Interchange and Corridor Widening Project is to relocate I-15 to the east, widen 2 miles of urban roadway along 1800 North into a 5-lane facility, and add a grade separation of UTA and UPRR, replace drainage and culvert facilities under I-15, and construct a trail system between the Hill Air Force Base and then connect to the DNRG Trail, Clinton City Trail, and the Three Gates Trail. Region 1 and the Structures Division are requesting to add scope to this project to include the replacement of an existing bridge carrying SR 126 over the Davis Weber Canal Company's canal. DWCCC is currently converting sections of its canal from an open channel to a canal enclosed in a buried concrete box culvert. Adding this portion under Main Street during the current project will provide a seamless connection between the sections, lower long-term maintenance, and improve forward compatibility as DWCCC continues to enclose the canal. In addition, replacing the bridge with a box culvert will allow for the adjacent roadway realignment, as well as the addition of sidewalks and shoulders widening of Main Street in the future. So located here on our map, you can see the section of the project that we're talking about on the south end. And as we zoom in, some of the drawings, and then you can see there's a fairly limited shoulder on the current roadway as well. And our request today is a motion to approve the additional scope on this 1800, the I-15 1800 North interchange and corridor widening project as detailed.
Okay, thank you. Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'm happy to make that motion. The quicker the better. Please. This is a great motion.
Thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that one.
Motion and a second. Any other questions or discussion on this motion?
And we're not adding any additional monies?
No additional money.
Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, if any. Item 6A, one is approved.
And just to follow up on your question, Commissioner Van Tassel, the scope was about $1.5 million and the contingency would be able to fund that. So we didn't anticipate adding funding. Our next item, 6A-2, the R cut on US 91 at SR 23. This is additional funding. The scope of the project on US 91 at SR 23 is to improve safety by installing a new restricted crossing U-turn or R cut intersection. The R cut will minimize the left turn conflicts by prohibiting direct crossing movements on US 91. In response to the community, we're accommodating left turn lanes off US 91. This will require additional pavement widening and right of way. And this is coming from the Region Transportation Solutions Program. So located here on our map, you can see the length of the project here. This is the intersection on 191. You can see how it would change the intersection. And then instead of the crossing, allowing straight across, crossing here, it would be a restricted crossing. So coming down on the east side,
yeah,
and then on the
Coming
west
out of
side.
Sardine Canyon, yeah.
And our request today is a motion to approve funding on the R cut, the R cut on US 91 at SR 23 project as detailed.
This is one where we make the motion where the folks that live to the west of that, there might be a little sacrificing for the overall safety of everyone going through that area. And, right? Because you have to go with the U-turn and come back.
Maybe we should have Rob, is it okay, Mr. Chairman? Because there's been
Yeah,
a lot of
please.
conversation in the
I'm
community.
sure there's
around
been a lot
this.
up there about
This is all about safety. this
pro and con,
project.
but once again, it's just, yeah, safety definitely.
Yes, Rob White, Region 1 Director. Yes, this one has a lot of attention from the community. We've had 2 fatalities here of folks trying to cross this road. You notice that this intersection is on a skew, and so that makes the length of crossing much longer and much more difficult to determine. You're having to make a lot of decisions all at once. And one of those decisions is you've got cars coming down the canyon at 70 miles per hour, and then cars going the other way about the same speed, and you're trying to make it across about 180 feet of roadway there. And so this will basically, what we're trying to do here is split those decisions up into little tiny decisions that are much safer decisions. Okay, I can turn right here. I go down and I merge into the other lane. Then I make the U-turn and come back, and then I can go take another right turn right there. So that's the purpose of this, and is absolutely 100% safety. That's what we're looking at here. This we felt was the safest solution. Some asked, well, could you put a signal here? Well, when at speeds that high, that's not a desired solution for safety. And so this was the solution that we came up with. The R cuts have been used in a lot of other states and have shown a great decrease in the number of crashes and mostly the severity of crashes. So any questions on the R cut or?
Any questions?
And Rob, I gotta say, and I think I said this last week, I had an opportunity to spend a couple hours with you up there. And these people in this community are not exactly happy with this new configuration. But as some of the people that were there were explaining to them, they were willing to accept it because of the safety of it.
Mhm.
These people in this love to see a major overpass to bring those roads over. They'd love it. But in the time being, $6 to $8 million is going to save lives. I think they're for it, but they were willing to voice their concern about it. I guess that's the best way to say it.
Yeah, it was a very lively meeting.
Yeah.
I haven't been to a public meeting that, I mean, I was from the minute I walked in the door till actually 45 minutes after it was supposed to end. I was busy talking. I was exhausted when I left.
When I walked out, we were still talking. He spent at least 50 or 60 minutes with the same group and the same week. And he was still talking as I walked out.
Well, that's what we're here for. And the reason we're making this change is from the input that we got from a previous public meeting where we were going to completely restrict the left turns. And we heard that last time. And then also the other thing was we know in Cache Valley, there's a lot of farm equipment and longer vehicles. And so we actually increased the turn radius. And that's why we needed the extra right of way. That was one of the reasons why there's additional costs associated with this.
Handled that entire public meeting. When they came out, I think they were satisfied that they'd received the information for which they sought.
They weren't
Well,
necessarily
that was a great
happy, but
meeting.
they
Thank
received the
you.
information. Did you have a question?
I was just going to say, I think you've done a great job. And this falls under my favorite saying of there's no real solutions, there's only trade-offs. And this is a great trade-off, I believe, that y'all have done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. So do I have a motion?
Well, I was going to think that guy back there.
Yeah, I'll just make myself popular, and make that motion that we approve this project as proposed.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Motion and a second. Any other discussion or questions? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, if any? 6A2 is approved.
Thank you. Item 6A3 then is Big Cottonwood Canyon Environmental Study. You see we're increasing the project value of the Big Cottonwood Canyon Environmental Study and changing funds or exchanging or moving funds from the Enhanced Busing, Bus Tolling Mobility Hub and Bus Stops project. The Big Cottonwood Canyon Environmental Study is analyzing the implementation of the increased bus service, tolling, and a mobility hub and resort bus stops in Big Cottonwood Canyon. The study is approaching the publication of a draft environmental analysis, and the cost to complete the study has increased due to the additional environmental review and coordination with the United States Forest Service, Salt Lake City, Salt Lake County, and others, as well as additional legal review. So this $700,000 would be moved from the project, the Enhanced Bus Tolling Mobility Hub and Bus Stops project, and fund this study. So the study areas here you'll see on US 190 or SR 190. And our request today is a motion to approve adding funds to the Big Cottonwood Canyon Environmental Project as detailed.
Thank you. Any questions on this or a motion?
Mr. Chairman.
Natalie?
Well, wow. I think this has to be done. This is a life quality amenity issue for our state, and it's a flashpoint for.
So is that your motion?
Should I hear your discussion first or?
No,
Okay, yeah, I'll make the motion then.
I second it.
Thank you.
I don't see where we have any choice. We're into this thing.
Yeah. Any further questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, if any. Thank you. 6A3 is approved.
Thank you. Item 6A-4 is a transportation solutions funding coming from the statewide transportation solutions program within Region 2. It's the I-15 southbound auxiliary lane from Bangor Highway to 146 South. The scope of the I-15 southbound auxiliary lane from Bangor to 146 South is to add a southbound auxiliary lane between Bangor Highway on-ramp to the 146 South exit ramp. This auxiliary lane will reduce congestion on Bangor on-ramp and improve merging distances for traffic coming from Bangor Highway to 146 South. So located here on our map, southbound on Bangor Highway to 146. Our request today is a motion to approve adding the I-15 southbound auxiliary lane from Bangor to 146 South project to the current STIP as detailed.
Thank you. Natalie, just like you said, necessity, or you too, you got all the extra traffic going east, all the extra traffic going west off of that, and they'll continue with what's being developed to the west. So it seems like it's a necessary thing to do.
Is our chair making the motion?
I'd make the motion
I'll
on this
second
one.
it.
Yeah, I know. I'll take this.
It
my
looks
share
like a
of time.
safety issue as well.
I agree, and just because you're trying to all cram into that one lane, so I agree. Thank you. Okay, any other questions, concerns, all in favor?
Aye.
I oppose if any.
Is there a
Thank
second?
you, that's approved. 6A, four is approved. Yeah, yeah,
Thank you.
thanks, Heather.
6A-5, the I-80 eastbound to US 40 eastbound ramp widening. This is also a Region 2 project coming from the Statewide Transportation Solutions Program. The original scope of the I-80 eastbound to US 40 eastbound ramp widening project was to add a second off-ramp lane from I-80 to US 40. The new additional scope would be to carry an auxiliary lane from Kimball's Junction all the way to the new off-ramp lane from for the original scope. This lane will serve to reduce backing along I-80 due to the high volumes of vehicles exiting to US 40. It will also, it will also better facilitate the merging that occurs on I-80 between Kimball's Junction and US 40. So located here on our map, Kimball's Junction, the eastbound on I-80 over to the US 40. And our request today is a motion to approve scope and funding addition to the I-80 eastbound to US 40 eastbound ramp widening project as detailed.
Thank you. Do we have a motion or any questions?
I'm just saying, it's long been needed, and I move that we approve.
Second.
Comment, second down there.
Thank you.
Yeah, we have third, fourth, and fifths on that one. You got coming east, coming west.
One bit of discussion there.
Okay, and Natalie has
Well,
a,
just one bit of discussion there. Isn't it wonderful how the design of the commission in UDOT has it so you have real, you have a Uinta Basin person here that deals with US 40, you have a Park City person here that deals with the junction here, and it's just the geographic spread of the commission really plays
agree.
well.
Great
So
comment.
just
Thank
make that comment.
One of the things that's one of the things that's significant, I think, about this one is there's been a culture that has developed up there where some people are really good. They get in line to get off of 80 to go to 40 and they wait to turn. But then we have these other people who are entitled. And so they will run up and they will try to jam in. Boom, we have a traffic accident. And if you look at the number of accidents that we have going from either 40 to 80 or 80 to 40, they're pretty substantial. And what this, I think, will do is it'll help remedy the situation of I need to be first in line.
Yeah.
We've had a fatality, I think, that was attributed to this. Maybe Robert has more detail, but I think we did have a fatality that was attributed to this kind of conduct up there.
okay, great comment.
I would just also include with the growth that's going on in the Heber Valley, it's going to get worse. And it's just, it's needed tomorrow.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, if any. Thank you. 6A5 is approved.
Thank you. 6A6 is an I-15 or I-215 southbound auxiliary lane from 700 north to I-80 project. Again, in Region 2, funded through the Statewide Transportation Solutions Program. The scope of work for the I-215 southbound auxiliary lane from 700 north to I-80 is to add the southbound auxiliary lane between the 700 north on-ramp to the I-80 exit ramp. This also includes adding ramp metering to the southbound 700 north on-ramp. The auxiliary lane will serve to increase the merging distance of oncoming traffic between 700 north and I-80. The ramp meter will help to create gaps to reduce the merging conflicts created by the vehicles entering the on-ramp. So located here on our map on I-80, 700 north. And our request today is a motion to approve adding the I-215 southbound auxiliary lane from 700 north to I-80 project to the current STIP as detailed.
I'm happy to make that motion, and I want Paul to just observe that we've now done 4 Region 2 in a row, and there'll be another one to come. Get used to it.
Well, this is, from a Region 1 perspective, I'm going to second this one because I got to go to the airport a lot, and and I'm coming from Region 1 to the airport this way. So this is.
And I wasn't meaning the competition, I just meaning that, wow,
There's
the
a lot of them.
concentration. Yeah.
This will become even more significant with the construction on 15 that's to take place. With more people will be using Legacy and will be needing to use this to get to the airport and to get to all the development that's on the west side of the airport.
Notice how many with the growth, you're gonna get auxiliary lanes having to be added, right? It's a lot of what these last ones were. So any other comments or questions? If not, all in favor?
Aye.
I opposed, if any. Thank you. 6A, that would be 6 is approved.
Thank you. Our next item, 6A-7. This is a Region 2 Tooele Valley Congestion Mitigation and Air Quality Project. This is a call for projects was hosted by the Tooele Valley RPO. And there was two applications that were sought. The Erda Way Shared Use Trail. The scope of this project entails installing a 10-foot wide paved path, 1,200 feet in length, to connect SR 36 to a future subdivision with 2 charter schools along Erda Way. And then the North Tooele Fire Department truck replacement. The scope of this project entails replacing a 1989 fire engine with a 2011 used ladder truck, which produces significantly fewer emissions, which is the requirement of the CMAQ program to fund additional vehicles. So again, highlighting the 2 projects, you can see that Erda has the local contribution and then the North Tooele Fire Department on the second project. And our map here shows the path and the North Tooele Fire District. I do wish I had a fire truck that I could put it up here for you, but I don't. So that's the only visualization that I have for you today. But our request today is a motion to approve adding the Tooele Valley Congestion Mitigation Air Quality projects to the STIP as detailed.
We have a motion.
Thank you.
This is a first. I'll second. I didn't know we do fire trucks.
Not really. It's the sidewalk I'm concerned about with the schools.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions or comments? Being none, all in favor? Opposed, if any. 6A7 is approved.
Next item within Region 3, this is a TTIF funding addition of the Springville Sharp Tintic Railroad Consolidation Project. The scope of the Springville Sharp Tintic Railroad Consolidation Project is to provide a connection between the Sharp Line, which is owned by Union Pacific Railroad, and the Tintic Line, which is owned by the Utah Transit Authority. This connection will allow for the closure of 6 existing at-grade crossings within Springville and Spanish Fork. The connection will also support planned future station areas on the Front Runner South project to move forward in Springville, Spanish Fork, and Payson. Right-of-way and other project costs have increased the project estimate. The new rail alignment bisects a large parcel and will be cut off with dual access required for development standards. Assumptions in the estimate for the development of this property were assumed to be agricultural use. The landowner is exploring options of development of this parcel, which will require secondary access for emergency services. This property impact will necessitate that the department acquire approximately 50 acres of the property that will no longer have these 2 access points. Additional right-of-way was also needed to address drainage concerns from UPRR and UTA adjacent to the tracks that will result in partial acquisitions along 18 residential properties. There's also increased cost due to the reconstruction of existing box culvert at Dry Creek and the original concept assumed utilizing the existing box culvert. So located here on our map, showing the 6 eliminated at-grade crossings and the deactivation of that line. As well as the connection plan. And our request today is a motion to approve additional funding to the Springville Sharp Tintic Railroad Consolidation Project as detailed.
So you'll recall this is we had the online public comment from Austin, I believe it was, about issues and making a decision, how it's impacting how they can go forward with that. And I don't know if there's any other clarification you need that was presented well. Rob, I don't see you to answer any questions about that. Anything else we got to add? Or any questions by any of the commission members before we take a vote on this? Please.
Mr. Chairman, I just want to publicly thank Rob and Eric and the team, because they were very good in explaining this to me. And it just shows how great our staff is, and being able to communicate with us. But I think that's part of the reason this is a little more difficult than it looks on map. And
yeah,
so I think it's good to call out the thank you to our staff for this.
Thank you for that comment. Appreciate that.
Is that a motion to approve?
I will move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion.
I'll second.
We have a second. Any further questions or discussion on this motion? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, if any. Thank you. So item 6A8 is approved.
Thank you. 6A9, moving to Region 4, we have the Price Canal Box Culvert Replacement. This is a funding addition with the locals providing the additional funding. The original scope of the Price Canal Box Culvert Replacement Project included replacing 2 deteriorating local crossings along Price Canal on Carbon Avenue and 300 East. Due to the time that has elapsed between the initial project application and the current market, the project costs have changed significantly. Price City approached the Joint Highway Committee to request reducing the scope of the project to only construct one of the box culverts. The Joint Highway Committee has reviewed and recommended the scope change with no additional state or federal funds being approved for the project. Price City will provide the additional local funds for the new scope. So located here on our map, you can see the initial proposed locations and then eliminating the second along 300 East. Our request today is a motion to approve the funding addition and scope change for the Price Canal Box Culvert Replacement project as detailed.
Thank you.
I'll make the motion to approve this. This is really a great motion. So I hope Brad understands that not every great motion is made clear up north. Some of them are in.
Okay, do you have a second?
I'll second.
A motion and a second. Any other discussion on this item or questions? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, if any. 6A9 is approved.
Thank you. Oh. All right, that jumped. All right, that went. And the Zoom moment. Next item, 6A-10. This is a Region 4 Sign Improvement Program in the fiscal year 26. This is a new program coming out of the Region Transportation Solutions Program for $400,000. This program will improve signage at various locations throughout Region 4. Updates include the following types of signs. We have the update the interstate guide signing, update interstate directional signing, install brake check and chain up signing. And the updates include the following routes: I-15, SR-14, US 89, and I-70. These sign additions and upgrades will provide proven countermeasures to help reduce crashes and improve public safety throughout the region. So located here on our map, you can see the locations along the corridors that we discussed. And a request today is a motion to approve adding the Region 4 Sign Improvement Program fiscal year 26 project to the current STIP as detailed.
Thank you. I think Commissioner Adams.
Yeah, I've noticed driving around the state a lot. Some of the signs are fading and getting hard to read. Are these signs the same type of sign, or have we figured out how to get these signs so that they'll last longer? Or anyway, you know what I'm talking about, Kirk?
Yes, Kirk Thornock, Region 4 Director. Yeah, that is the intent of these. There's 99 signs that are proposed to be constructed with this project, 89 of them done by our maintenance crews and 10 through procurement. But yes, as you know, most of these signs are facing west or facing south. So they get a lot of heat. I don't think we have a perfect solution for that other to continue to maintain them. Sometimes we're able to just do the lettering. Other times we're able to do an overlay. And sometimes they're old enough because the bases aren't to the new standard that will replace the whole sign. But the intent is that 47 of these would be the large type guide signs that you see a lot of that deterioration on. Other directional signs, and then key safety signs. So
Appreciate that. And the fact that it looks like most of these signs are all in Region 4. I'll make a motion we approve.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion. We have a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, if any. And so 6A, 10 is approved, and that if someone can text former Commissioner Lou Kramer, let him know we're still doing signs. He would be happy to hear that.
Mr. Chair, just a quick comment. Love to hear your commentary or Carlos's on this, but I love it when the commissioner mentioned that he sees the signs and sees the deterioration of them and this lived experience in our areas. I wanted to just make sure that as commissioners, one of our roles is to like signal these things that we see in our areas to our directors. So, you know, my list includes manholes on 7th East, the growing pothole on 6 North as you get on the freeway, signage for U Hospital off of Foothill. But is that the expectation of us that we, even though they're not like expansions of scopes or new additions, but
No, we're
eyes and
their
ears?
eyes and ears. You laugh at that. I gave Carlos one recently. It was signed and we had to get this, a sign we had out that the road's not even ready to use yet. Right? So we had a sign where we have the sign there, we're getting an off ramp and the off ramp's not quite ready. And so I brought that up to Carlos. So I think just whatever we see out there, we're
And
part of the public and
our link is to our director of our region.
it is. And we, because of being on the commission and learning about these things, I think we have an obligation to let our region, let staff know if we see things out there because they're looking, they're watching, but I'm sure they appreciate any feedback. Carlos, do you want to respond to this?
No, absolutely. I mean, we have a system set up, and former Speaker Becky Locker came up with the idea. She says there needs to be a way where people with an app on a computer can sit down and identify issues. And so, you know, the public is constantly providing that input to us. And then those assignments get made out to the regions, out to the maintenance stations. And so we value any input we can get from folks. I mean, we're obviously working towards a future where we call it real-time situational awareness, where the technology in vehicles is they could see things now constantly. And what we want is to be able to have those vehicles have essentially our base maps. This is the expectation. This is the world of UDOT. There should be a sign here, 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 or guardrail here. And when the vehicle notices something different, it notifies us immediately. And that's kind of the future when we say connected vehicles. It's connected to the infrastructure, and that's kind of the future we're moving towards. But until we have, you know, every vehicle out there automatically communicating with us on what's going on, we'd love to have any input we can from the commission, the public, everyone. So that's
Good question and some
absolutely
good,
important.
thanks, Carlos. Okay. I think we're on 6A11.
Okay. Next item, 6A-11. This is the US 50 fiber optic project. This is a new project from the ARPA funding for $4 million. The scope of this project will install new fiber optics along US 50 from the Scipio UDOT maintenance station, connecting to an ongoing project on US 50 near SR 260. The new fiber optic installation will provide connection from the I-15 backbone to the US 89 corridor, improving network resiliency and supporting UDOT operations, public communications, and emergency services. We're located here on our map on US 50 from Scipio down to Salina. And our request today is a motion to approve adding the US 50 fiber optics project to the current STIP as detailed.
Thank you. We have questions, comments, a motion.
I like the fact that fiber optics is coming to rural Utah as it has and as quick as it has, because folks out in the rural parts of Utah, if they're not connected electronically, they're not part of the world anymore. So I really like the fact, and this is in Region 4 again. So I'll make a motion, we approve.
Okay, thank you. We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye opposed, if any. Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 6A11 is approved.
Okay. Item 6A-12. It's actually close to where we're at today. You'll notice you have two projects in front of you, the US 89 Mount Carmel Junction to Muddy Canyon Passing Lane project, currently funded with the TIF program. And this one is a funding addition and scope change. And then the UTN US 89 trail from Mount Carmel Junction to Orderville. You can see the request is to fund $1 million of TIF and then the scope change on the UTN 89. The scope of pin 15226, which is the US 89 Mount Carmel Junction to Muddy Canyon passing lane, is to construct that passing lane from US 89 from milepost 81 to milepost 80, almost 83, near Mount Carmel Junction. The scope of pin 21902 is to construct a paved trail in the same area running along US 89 from milepost 81 to milepost 86. Recent discussions between these two project teams determined that combining the trail in the overlapping portion of the passing lane will result in a more streamlined schedule, cost savings, and a reduced construction impact to the traveling public in this area. The recommended changes to these projects are detailed below. So the passing lane projects, the request is to modify the scope to include the overlapping portion of the trail that was originally funded with the other pin, and to increase the project value to construct the trail segment. Then pin 21902, modify the scope to begin the trail where the previous project ends and up that with the updated limits, and the project value remain the same to meet the current design estimate. So located here on a map, you can see the proposed trail scope and the passing lane scope here. Our request today is motion to approve the scope addition and funding changes for pin 15226 and 21902 as detailed.
Thank you. I like how we're kind of combining and being smart how we do that. So I'd ask for any comments or questions. I presume you folks in the corner are pretty happy that we're doing this trail. Okay.
Mr. Chairman?
Yeah.
I would move we approve.
Okay, we have a motion to approve.
Second.
I'm going over here.
Okay.
Got too many last time. I'm gonna come down here, Tom. No. We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion or comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed, if any. Thanks. So 6A12 is approved.
Thank you. 6A13, this is another Utah Trail Network Trail Counter case study. This is a new project funded through the UTN program. This project will fund a comparison study that will install and evaluate different trail counter systems and then make recommendations for their future potential use within the Utah Trail Network. As new UTN projects are funded, the trail divisions will use a counter system to measure usage, allowing for more informed programming. The scope of this project will take place over 16 months, focusing on counter accuracy, installation procedures, data management software, and maintenance requirements. This is an information-only item. This project has been approved by the Deputy Director authority given to the Utah Transportation Commission Policy 01-01.
I'd ask, I know we are approving any questions on this item. Okay.
I think this is wonderful because we need to know how much usage they're doing, and over time we'll be able to help. We need to build the trails that are going to be used the most. The others that are nice, we'll have to push back a little bit, but I like this.
Good. Thanks. Good comment.
Okay, moving to 6B, this is the Utah Broadband Center, also information only. We brought this item to the commission, had some presentations in August last month. The Utah Broadband Center has completed the application period for the Broadband Equity Access and Deployment, or BEAD program, known as Utah's Broadband Infrastructure Grant, or BIG, and has met with representatives from the Federal National Telecommunications Information Administration and is now ready to publish the list of the selected awardees. The grant will fund infrastructure to the remaining broadband unserved homes and businesses in Utah. The summary of the applications and the awards are as follows. So we received almost 1,100 total applications. We're funding 43 proposed areas. Those awards include both fiber optics, a wireless, and then low Earth orbit satellite locations. The scope, we currently have about $300 million available to program for Utah. We're recommending $227.5 million of the potential grant amount, and then $126.4 million in match is being offered. So located within our fact sheet, we can see the program eligible locations. You can see the shading is based on those project areas that we talked about earlier. And then included in the packet of materials that we'll review is the provisional award list by project area. There's a update to the commission the presentation that was done last month. And then there's an award map that is accessible as well. So won't take a lot of the time from the commission to review the materials that are added, but you can see that we talked about the broadband, the Big B program, and the timeline that was used to develop the program starting in November of 22 to where we are currently. We're informing the commission here in the middle of the bottom row, informing the Transportation Commission. We will post this for public comment, and then after public comment, submit it to NTIA on October 3rd is the current expectation, with any amendments or changes that we see resulting from the public comment. Included here is the by provider summary, where you'll be able to see the providers, the total cost of the areas, how much was from the grant, what the match amount was, and then the number of locations that provider is being proposed to be awarded. And again, this is conditional as we go through the public comment period and then a 90-day period with NTIA. Back to our potential awardee map. And then our next step, again, posting for public comment, submitting to NTIA, 90 days for review, and then up to 4 years to complete the projects. Here's a summary by the project area instead of the provider, you can see, and it breaks that down into that map that we've been discussing earlier. And if I can, just pointing back the commission. We have a connecting.utah.gov website for the broadband center. And anyone that goes here, this will be where they'll be able to access it. This will where the public comment period will be as well. However, we wanted to make sure that we present it to the commission prior to releasing this. But this is where we'll receive this and collect the public comment. And again, this item, going back to our fact sheet, this item is a information only to the commission if there's any questions.
Any follow-up questions or comments from commissioners or Carlos? Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you. That's all I have for you today.
That's all.
That's
Yeah,
all.
short
That was
today.
all.
Thanks, Simon. Okay, we're going to bring up, it looks like we're going to have Rob come up, item 7, Rob Clayton, talk about US 191 realignment. I call this the Kevin Van Tassel project. Anyway, it's Kevin represented well, as I learned from him about the needs in this out there. And so Kevin, I'm excited to see we'll have a ribbon cutting soon. So Rob, with that, we'll turn it over to you.
Morning, Mr. Chair and Commissioners. Rob Clayton, Region 3 Director. I'm going to do my best impression of Ross Crow. He sends his apologies. He wasn't able to attend this morning. This is as the chair mentioned, it has to do with the US 191 realignment that's happening at Simplot. And the change in alignment necessitates that we do some administrative work to redesignate the alignment of US 191. The UDOT has jurisdiction and control over state highways, but the commission has the authority to designate those state highways. And where we're changing the alignment, that's what we're here to do this morning. So the US 191 relocation project is located approximately 12 miles north of Vernal. A new highway alignment has been constructed that will eliminate the existing 2.48 mile segment of switchbacks. The new highway is currently in the final phase of construction and will open to traffic by fall of 2025, at which time the old alignment will no longer be needed and can be abandoned. JR Simplot and the BLM have agreed to swap the right-of-way needed for the new highway alignment for the existing UDOT right-of-way along the switchbacks. There's a summary of the right-of-way that was exchanged for this project. This was done as a no-cost swap between the entities. This shows where the project is within the state of Utah. And here's the project details. The blue alignment is the existing or the old alignment. If you've been driven through there, the traffic control that's in place while they're doing the final construction has traffic on the new alignment, which is labeled future in this map. And that blue alignment is what's technically right now designated by the commission as the alignment of US 191. And so we're here to change that to the orange alignment. This shows the right of way that was exchanged. And we're requesting a motion to approve the abandonment of the existing 2.48 mile segment of US 191 as represented in blue and move to the new alignment as represented in pink.
Mr. Van Tassel, any comments?
Several.
Yes, I'd like to turn it over to you.
Thank you. I know the traffic's going up, but we're using it coming in and out. And with the hunting season started, I'm sure that it'll get a lot of use with the next few. It's been a great project. It extends, somebody asked me, why would Simplot want to do this? And it extends the life of their mine another 5 or 10 years. And, that's significant for the state of Utah and the local community. It's a great project. I know we'll save 4 or 5 lives in the next 10 years at least. And those are pretty sharp switchbacks. And I came down at one time with a guy that was trying to get to a basketball game and was on 2 wheels once. I never want to do that again. So, but anyway, I would move that we exchange the deeds and make the change. The question I've got on the existing guardrail that's on the old alignment, does that go to Simplot or do we keep that or we just abandon it?
We're going to remove all that. It'll belong to the contractor. So, and I'll just observe that Simplot has been really an extraordinary partner in this public-private partnership, the development of this project. They have shown a dedication and a concern for public safety over the years with the construction of the runaway truck ramps that exist on the old alignment, some of that occurred on their property. And they're often the first to respond to crashes that occur. And they really take a lot of pride in the community and have really put a lot of effort into this as well.
One of their foremen that's retired, fairly close neighbor to me, he says when they've had accidents in the past, almost all of the crew goes and tries to bring first aid. They're the first responders.
Yeah.
And they see this as a blessing and they won't have near as much to worry about.
That's right.
Thank you. So we have a motion. Do we have a second? I'd second it. I'd like to second this one. Any further questions, comment, discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed if any. So item number 7 is approved. Thanks, Rob. Okay, item number 8. This is what we've all come down to Kanab for. Wait. Now we're talking, huh?
That's right. Mr. Chair, Commissioners, Layfelder, UDOT Policy and Legislative Affairs. We have a couple of rules today. And there's a lot of, let's see, how do I go to the next page? Thank you.
On the bridge there.
Okay, 2 rules today. One of them is the commission rule and one's a UDOT rule. Both rules relate to toll roads. Okay. The only toll facility we have in Utah, I think I'm right about this, is our that we operate is our HOV lane or hot lane. There on I-15, it's about an 80-mile stretch there. So the first rule is the commission rule, 940-1, establishment of toll rates. And that rule is a good description. That rule name is a good description of your involvement and why you have this rule. It sets your process for being able to determine those toll rates and also tells UDOT how we're going to help you do that. The change here that we're making is really just a clarification about how we help you, okay? And I'm just going to come down here to the rule text and show you the substantive change. There's a few little technical changes here that we're making as well, but it's really right here in this subsection 2A, where we said that the department will submit the schedule of optimal toll rates to the commission for approval. And really, it's not a schedule of toll rates, our folks realized. It's more of a methodology for determining the optimal toll rates that you approve. And so we adequately describe that. I'm going to go down here. I think we have, yes. So this next page shows you kind of the algorithm that's used to set those toll rates. So there's the math. Some of you may really appreciate that equation there. What I appreciate even more is this chart here that shows you as the volume in the toll lane increases, the fee too would increase. And this is the page, this algorithm, we call it the express lanes toll rate as determined by UDOT dynamic toll algorithm. This is the page that you've approved in the past. And so we're just kind of squaring up the rule and how it describes what we bring to you. It's not a schedule of toll rates, but rather a methodology. So really that's what we're doing there. I did find a few places that I might want to consider changing. So I forget what we had on here. I think we're just doing a review. Yeah, because this is the first meeting, so we give you a month to kind of think about it. And I may make just a small tweak. There's a couple other places in the rule where we mentioned schedule of toll rates, and I just want to make sure if we want to keep that or if we want to change those to methodology as well. So that's that rule. Do you have any questions on? Excuse me, I'm getting all over here.
Commission, any questions for Leif on this one item? Nope, looks like you explained it well. Thank you.
Okay, excellent. The next rule is the department's rule for our part in kind of determining what roads to consider as toll facilities. Again, this rule was under 5-year review, similar to the commission rule. And we just realized we wanted to add a provision that allows the department to consider converting an existing highway to a toll way. And the reason for that, and let me just come down to the rule.
A mix of loan and grant. So a lot of times we use that tool to award the project in a grant loan mix. There are special circumstances that the board will consider and give more grant than maybe what the tool has told us that we can give. So we have emergency requests. I'll give you an example of one of the emergency requests. There actually was an earthquake in Garfield County that shifted the land where Escalante had a well that provided their culinary drinking water. And you may have seen that on TV a couple of months ago where people were turning on their faucets and out was coming a brown liquid. So that earthquake impacted the culinary well, so they came with an emergency request to deal with that. And we granted them some money so they could drill a new well to take care of those needs. But it's always interesting to go to that meeting and see what the needs of these rural communities are. And so, like I said, we had requests for $25 million, and we were able to fund all of those requests with the money. Hopefully, extraction will increase in these rural areas, and they'll be able to provide more funding in the CIB, because rural Utah really depends on this fund, and there really isn't another alternative to speak of. There is drinking water and sewer projects that can go to the state level to get some of those funds, but we fund a lot of those, in partnership with the state to get those projects actually accomplished. So appreciate the opportunity to be on that board. I've spent a little time on the board. I was there as a county commissioner for about 15 years, and it's fun for me to attend the October meeting, because October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month. I always take little ribbons, pink ribbons, for the board and the members of the community to encourage them to wear them in the month of October. My wife is a breast cancer survivor, and so it's near and dear to our hearts. But anyway, that's my report on the CIB. Thank you.
Thank you for representing us there.
Quick report, I survived my first commission meeting, even with the overwhelming number of agenda items from Region 2.
Yeah, Kevin had a couple of personalities off of the pressure.
Nothing official, but I just want to thank UDOT again and our contractors. I took a vacation 10 days ago, 2 weeks ago, and I took I-80 back to Akron, Ohio, and came back on 70. And it blew would have been with me, there's a couple of states that he would go nuts because their signs are so faded, things you can't see till you're right up. And so we have the quality of the roads in Utah or without, as we compare with the other states around us, we are in a great position. And it takes a lot of money to keep them that way. But I don't know how they'll ever get out of their holes in some of those are. And it's not just their secondary roads that are struggling. Their interstates are in tough shape. And so thank you for the work that we do to keep us organized and online. And thanks for all that you do. It's great to be associated. It was interesting when we came back on 70, as soon as we got to Utah, the road just changed. It was a nice ride home, and the shocks weren't getting used to death, but we do a good job, and we see these formats and signs and I think a part of it is Carlos has made sure we crack these. And I can tell you right now, if you have to go across I-80, every other bridge on 80 is being redone right now. So they have a lot of bridges too. So anyway, thank you.
Thank you. I attended another on the HTR, the Housing and Transit Reinvestment Zone, which is HTRZ zone last week for Sandy City. And we continue to have those to find ways to give incentives to build housing around these transit zone areas. And so we had one in Sandy City last week, and we continue. Well, I might mention that I'm there in the meeting. They said, and we're putting this here because UDOT's building a bridge over I-15. Okay, so I had to tell Carlos, somebody building this bridge. Anyway, so we're partners with them, and they're grateful for the support we give them and the types of things we do. So, Carlos, from the directors, anything that you'd like to bring up as we end our meeting today?
Not, Mr. Chairman, no, just a thanks to the commission for the time you put into this. It really is a great partnership that we have between the department and the commission. And we really appreciate you guys. So thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. And one thing, along with Kevin, what you said, I appreciate when we have questions. I've never felt like it was a burden to ask a question of staff, the directors and their staff. They get right back to us, and then we can get back to the public. And so once again, we ask questions a lot of times because we've had questions come to us. So thank you well for that. So I guess
could I?
Yeah.
We do have our annual transportation conference coming up. Heather, did you send the information out to the commissioners? Okay. No pressure, whether or not you choose to attend. We will, the opening session, we will have, we'll see how this goes. This is high wire act with folks that don't like to actually practice. But I'm going to have the governor, the speaker, and the president. I'm going to try to moderate a conversation about the role of transportation in the future of Utah. We'll see how that goes.
Okay.
Good. So,
and we can let you know, you can come to parts or sessions.
oh yeah,
I don't know, until get your access badge so you can get into whatever you can come to.
exactly. There's a couple general sessions, which is higher level stuff. And then there's a technical session of any subject you might want to do. It's really the place. It's all about training for our folks. So, our engineers have to have a certain amount of credit hours every year. So that continuing education, this is a cheaper way for us to do it. And our transportation technicians, our operations, all of them have, training opportunities. So there's some stuff that dives down pretty far down into stuff, but there's pretty high level stuff as well.
Will you send us an email if you get that ground taken?
Oh, they've committed. It's whether or not I can actually control it. I've kind of thought, it's kind of like my real life. I'm kind of stuck between the governor and the legislature. And I'm going to try to see how I can I won't be able to manage it, but we'll see how we could try to facilitate the conversation. What was it, Cameron?
On the 7th, 8th, and 9th of October.
I'm sorry?
That's going to be work driving.
Yeah, and so Heather will send it out again and maybe highlight when the general session, that first general session is.
Okay, thank
Okay.
you.
Sorry to interrupt.
As we Be safe on your travels home. We're going to end the meeting with a motion in a second, but just as we leave this, Nog used to remind us of this. I miss him. I appreciate him reminding us to be kind, hug our family members, let them know we love them, be grateful each day, and do something nice for somebody today on your way home or whatever you can do. So with that, let's get a motion to adjourn. Non-debatable. We're done.
I just want to say, I hope everybody on the board doesn't try to be first in line on their drive home.